Welcome to PaintCast tonight with Red Modeling. Really appreciate you guys being here. Want to take a minute before we get into the painting tonight to just talk about a few things real quick. First off, want to thank everyone for your support. It's been a really cool ride the last few weeks as I've been working with this PaintCast and talking with people and getting feedback from you guys on what works and what doesn't work. And you guys are great. You guys are really supportive. You have some great suggestions and some great questions, and I just really appreciate you guys all being a part of this and helping me make this happen, because this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. We're up to about 76 likes, followers on my Twitch channel, which is really cool. I'm really excited about that. If you know anyone that would be interested in watching this PaintCast, wanting to learn how to paint, that type of thing, send them this way, man. Give them the link, tell them about it, and send them over here. I'd love to see if we could get to 100 likes on my Twitch page by the end of the week. That'd be awesome. Also on my Facebook page, thanks for all of you that have been on there and liked there. I'm up to 550 likes now, which is super cool. Never thought I'd get to that point. So thank you guys for your support. And you know, keep the feedback coming, keep the suggestions coming. I'm really interested in what's going to be what you guys want to see format-wise. You know, of course, what I'm painting model-wise, you know, what I'm working on and stuff, that's all going to change, you know, as different projects come in. But you know, the format, though, if you guys have suggestions on that, feel free to email those to me. Hit me up on my Facebook page. Just whatever it is, you know, you think that can make this show better. As far as updates and stuff like that goes, I still am only operating here with the one camera. I do have 2 more cameras, and I've been playing around with them on off broadcast times to try and figure out the best way to utilize them. I definitely want to have one at my airbrush station so you guys can see me when I'm doing some airbrushing. The third one, I'm debating whether or not I want to do something over the palette, or if I want to do something like a face cam where you guys can see me. So I don't know. If you guys got ideas on that, let me know. I'd love to hear them. I know, technically speaking wise, there is going to be some problems if I'm streaming 2 cameras at the same time. I'm going to lose some of the ability to zoom in and focus as much as I have. But I'm definitely willing to try it if you guys are interested in checking it out. So definitely send those suggestions, send those ideas my way, because I want to hear what you got there. A couple of other things to get to real quick. For those of you that are on my Twitch account right now, channel, at the bottom I've got a couple of little blurbs there, how it works blurb, a questions blurb, and a broadcast schedule one. Well, the broadcast schedule one, I just found out today, is not working the way I want it to work. I post up what days I will be streaming about a month in advance. I try to keep that calendar pretty up to date, and I don't think it's going to work on Twitch, so I'm going to have to roll on over to Facebook and keep that link up there. So what I'm going to do after the broadcast tonight is I'm going to put up a new calendar, and I'll pin it on the top of my Facebook page, so anyone at any time can go onto my Facebook page, and it's always going to be set up to be the first post, and it's just going to be a link that you can click on. It'll take you to a Google Calendar, and it'll show what days coming up I will be broadcasting, and so that way you can always know when I'll be on. If I decide to broadcast in addition to those days, I'll put an alert up on Twitter, or I'll put an alert up on Facebook. But for the most part, that's the schedule I'm going to follow. The other thing I want to point out is under the How It Works tab there is just a little description of how these PaintCasts work. You'll notice at the top left-hand corner of your screen it says Commission/Paint Tutorial, and I can turn that off and put up a personal work one, which is on the right-hand side. So depending on what icon is up, kind of determines what I'm working on. It lets you guys know what I'm working on. When you see a Commission Paint Tutorial one up, that means I'm either working on a commission for someone or I'm working on a custom paint tutorial video for someone. Generally speaking, when I have that kind of a setup going, I'm not really going to be answering questions as frequently or as in much depth as I would if, say, the personal work one was up. The reason why is, you know, someone's paying me to work for them right now, and or paying me to teach them how to paint right now, and so I need to give them as much attention as possible. So, excuse me. So ideally, you know, I will answer questions. I do keep my eye on chat, you know, as it's rolling by, and you know, when a question is relevant, I'll pop up and answer it. And I also try and take the last, I don't know, 5, 8 minutes, 10 minutes of every broadcast that I do, and kind of scroll back through chat and ask questions as well there. So that's about it as far as technical updates go and that kind of stuff. Tonight, what we're going to be working on is Epic Kane. This is for Chris, for his army. This is his second painting tutorial video that I'm doing for him. I already did one on Epic Iris. You can check, excuse me, P Iris. You can check that one out on YouTube. It's got 2 parts, parts 1 and 2. Kane's probably going to be a part 1 and 2 as well, and so we'll be working on him tonight. I also, if we have some time, I'm going to get to talking a little bit about my Cephalex army that I'm painting for Donate or Paint, the Donate or Paint Challenge. You may have seen some pictures of this floating around the internet, and some posts up on my Facebook page talking about it. This is for a buddy of mine. His name is Mark, and he's not doing too well physically. So a 50-point Cephalex army was donated, and I'm working on the assembly and the paint for it right now. And this is kind of the color scheme that I'm going with on that army. So anyway, getting to, oh, and one other thing I want to just show you guys real quick. This was what I was working on my very first PaintCast, an avatar of Minoth. I mean, excuse me, an avatar of Minoth. The avatar from Forge World for Eldar for 40K. So this was actually the first mini I was painting on these PaintCasts. You can see the progress that I've made on him, how far he's coming along. What I think is really cool though is he has a loincloth that he wears right here, and last night I was working on it, and this is what I came up with. I think you guys would dig this. There you go. Let me kind of zoom in on that a little bit there, clean the focus up. So I wanted kind of one of those cool 1980s type space scenes to be on the loincloth. So you got you know, you got kind of a black earth effect, some mountains, kind of the blue sky into the starry sky with a nice purple moon sitting there. So anyway, that's kind of what I've been working on with that one off camera for the last few weeks, and he's about done. So for those of you that were following from the beginning, I thought you might be interested in seeing that. So let's get on with painting Epic Kane. So here we go. He's ready to go as far as painting goes. I have primed him, assembled him already. The base color that we have here, Chris, is Bloodstone, or Blood Tracker, yeah, Bloodstone, P3 Bloodstone. Okay. We had talked about at the end of the P Iris broadcast using a combination of Bloodstone and Umber, P3 Umber, as the leather colors. And what I decided to do, again, because we're keeping in mind here for you to paint this army as fast as you can, and working from dark to light is a little harder than working light to dark. So I've went ahead and airbrushed the coat, the Bloodstone color. And what we'll use is the Umber to add in the medium tone with wet brush, 2-brush blending, and then we'll darken that Umber up a little bit with the favorite color we've used almost on every one now, coal black, and that'll darken that brown up a little bit more and give you some nice shadows, and in the end you should have a nice red leathery color to go with, like what we had talked about. And then the armor plates here on the chest, on the thigh, on the shin, and on the forearms here, that's going to be in that nice teal color that you really that you liked and that we talked about last time. So also for the white, because those were the kind of the three colors you wanted to go with, the red, the blue, and the white. The white, I'm thinking we will line the inside of the jacket right here and here up onto his collar, okay, and his little bandana here. We'll do that in the whites, and I think that will be a nice, the cream white, excuse me. I think that'll be a nice complement to the blue and the nice red brown we got going on. I'll teach you, we're going to go over a new flesh tone recipe for the face. We're going to do something a little darker, a little grittier looking than what we did originally on Iris, okay? And the metals, we're going to stick with probably cold steel. I think that will be a good way to go. The trim here on his coat, depending on how dark it ends up getting with the umbral umber, I was thinking either just black or we go with the cream color as well. So we'll see how far we get with it tonight, and that may not even be an issue for tonight's broadcast. So we'll go ahead and get started right away here on the two brush blending with Kane, and start working in our shadows here. I think I'm going to start right back in here in this area, right underneath his belt, and we're just going to bring that shadow down into here using two brush blending. So I'm going to remove my wet palette out of the way. Bring a dry palette over here. And start getting to work here. Fuzzy Joseph, I agree with you 100% that the image on the loincloth needs to be on the side of a truck or on the hood of a 1970s Trans Am. That's my inspiration for it. I was actually thinking that when I was painting it up. I wanted it to look 1970s, 80s. If I was good enough, I'd put a wizard in there somehow, but I don't think that would quite mesh with the 40K thing as well. So Chris, two brush blending, we've gone over this in the P-Iris tutorial. You load your brush up. Let me adjust my lighting here a little bit, guys. There we go, it's better. Load your brush up with a little bit of paint. Okay. Get a dot of it in there. Take your second brush, moistened with a little bit of saliva or water, and then working back and forth and into the color, and then slowly pull out in the direction that you want the shadow to go. And then work the other side of the shadow in the same manner. All right, and there's our first initial shadow. So we got to move around to other parts of the coat because we don't want to overwork it while it is still wet. Otherwise, we're going to run into some problems. So I'm just going to keep moving around now to the other side of the belt there. And back and forth, pushing in to the color, and then moving it where you want it to be. A little too heavy on the liquid with that one. It's a nice thing about two brush blending is as you make those types of errors, because the paint is still so wet, it's very easily cleaned up. And that's a nice deep shadow right in here. Pushing in, pulling out. There you go. As you're doing your two brush blending, don't let the paint sit too long. on your application brush because you don't want it to dry on that tip. Okay. So we'll come around to this side now. I think we'll start right under this pocket here. If we get to it tonight, one thing I'd like to go over with you is a little bit of glazing. We'll use some glazing techniques on the highlights with this guy, and I'll show you a little bit of that. And again, like I say, it's a lot easier to go light to dark than it is dark to light. So as you're working on your army and future armies, keep that in mind. Once you decide on what kind of color you want to go with, you know, what is that highlight going to look like? How bright is that highlight color going to be? And you know, when you've decided that, try and do your base coats at about 70% of how light you think that highlight's going to be, because you can always tone it down, and it's always a little more difficult, at least for me and in my experiences, it's always a little more difficult to brighten it than it is to darken it. So this shadow over here is almost dry enough, so we'll come back to that in just another minute. Same with that one there. We can get up into here under this underside right here. It's going to be kind of a tight area to fit into. And just back and forth using the tip of that brush and move that paint around, feathering out that edge, softening that edge. We'll get this side of the coat too, while we're at it. Was playing around with that teal color that we were working with last week, Chris, and it's a nice color you picked out there. I think it's going to look really good on Kane. I'm excited to see what it'll look like. Okay, while we're waiting for that to dry up a bit, what I want to do real quick is move on to these sleeves right into here. Okay, and we're going to talk about quick shading those sleeves. We don't want to spend too much time, what's the word I'm thinking of, too much time painting the individual creases in this. Again, we're looking at fast ways to paint your army, not slow ways. And this is one area that can really slow you down, is if you start getting into all these individual highlights and shadows. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, don't get me wrong, more power to you. I mean, the nicer you want the figure to look, the more time you're going to spend in those areas. But you know, what we want to focus on here is getting it done quick. So how we're going to do that is going to be very similar to brush blending, but we're going to have the brush moisten just a little bit more, and I'm going to apply the paint kind of across the whole bottom of the sleeve there. Okay, and then very quickly with the moistened brush, just pull up that paint into those creases. And it's almost like you're creating a wash right on top of the model. You're mixing it right on top of the model instead of on a palette. Okay, we do the same thing on the other arm here. All right, kind of apply it all along the bottom there. Take the brush and just start pulling it up into those creases. That palette was throwing off my white balance on the camera a little bit there. All right. And then I'm just going to keep working around the model here, applying the brown in the areas of shading. Don't worry too much about, getting paint all over the place at this point. I know that was a concern that you had as we talked. You're going to be going back and cleaning things up. Right now, we're just you want to work quick, you want to work fast, you want to work smooth, and don't get too hung up in the details right now. And talking to new painters, I think that's a problem area for a lot of them. They get caught up in all these details. Just keep the brush moving, get the paint on there, and the rest will take care of itself. It really will. You gotta kind of work just one area at a time. All right, come onto this other sleeve here on the back side. Same thing, all the way across the bottom. Don't be afraid to be a little liberal with the paint. And then pull that color up into the shadows and the creases. Remember also, Chris, when you're two brush blending, keep your brushes clean. Keep some clean rinse water real close by. You don't want the water to get too dirty. You don't want the paint to dry on the tip of your brush. You need to just keep it moving. Oh yeah, that reminds me. For all of you that participated in Whip Wednesday on my Facebook page, thank you. There were some beautiful, beautiful pictures posted on there, some great work posted on there. I really love seeing other people post their work. I really love seeing other people progress and learn as a painter. I think it's fantastic, and Whip Wednesday was a great way to do that, and I think it's something I want to continue to do. Wet my brush here a little more. Let that one sit a little too long, so I think it'll be okay. Yeah, Kane's gonna get a 5 o'clock shadow. Don't worry about that. So, so Chris, I've kind of put the shadows, started the shadows in all the places that they're going to be, but I want to go back to where we started here. This paint isn't 100% dry yet. You can still see a little bit of a sheen on it, okay? And that's okay. We can still work with that. We can still work past that. But what I want to do is I want to try and pull this shadow down further this way and then out a little more this way, because we really want to bring this dark brown color in and really expand the area of that, okay? And with two brush blending, you can work quickly, okay, and you can shade quickly, but if you try and get greedy and do too much paint at once, you're going to have problems. So what I've found with two brush blending is you just got to work it a little bit at a time, and you got to build that shadow, build that dark color a little bit at a time. And if you try and do too much at once, it's not going to look as clean and smooth. Okay, and you can already see how much more we widened out that shadow right there. In fact, let me grab my air dryer. It's going to be loud for a second, guys. I apologize. All right. And you can see how much further that shadow comes out now. And I'm probably not going to bring it out too much further depth-wise, but I might come out a little further this way and that way. Okay, and you can actually see just a little bit right there. There's a little bit of a ring there. I didn't pull it out quite as far as I should, but that's okay too, because what we can do is take the base color, two brush blend over that, and that'll clean that up right away. Won't have any issues there. So I'm going to keep working around now. Come back over here to the other shadow. Swishing back and forth, slowly pulling out. Okay. Probably a little more down in here. Come back up under here some more. Just reworking all those original areas that you hit the first time around. I'd be curious to know too, Chris, if you've actually, since we've started doing this, if you've actually started doing two brush blending, and what your successes or what your experiences with it have been. So make sure and get back with me in the future. I'd love to know. Well, and you have those follow-up hours too that are part of the tutorial that you purchased as well. So don't forget to use those. That's a great way to refine your technique. Hey Eric, I didn't see that you were on tonight. Welcome, man. I love that that mauler that you posted a picture up on Facebook today, man. Looks fantastic. Great work. Coming up under here now. Trying to pull those shadows a little further down. Give the appearance more of the darker brown, and try and turn the base color into more of a highlight as opposed to a base color. Oh, that's right, Chris. I didn't. I apologize for not posting that yet. Let me make a note of that to myself right now, so I don't forget. My apologies, bud. Sorry about that. When I'm done with this cast, I definitely will post that for you, man. All right, so shading wise on this whole area through here, I think I'm about done actually. I don't think I want to go much darker than that. I think I'm going to pull out a little bit of coal black though and just deepen up some of these darker areas, but I don't think I'm going to pull the shadow out any further. Also looking at the arms here, let's deepen those up a little bit more. They're still a little light. We're just going to do that the same way as before. Just kind of paint the whole underside of the arm there. And then using your brush, pull that up into the cracks there. And you can see the effect that creates. We'll do that on the other side now. Okay. All right, so while that's drying up, I'm going to go ahead and base coat the inside of the jacket here and the bandana in the cream color that we talked about. So to start with, Manoff white base. That's what I'm going to use for the base color there. Get my wet palette over here for a second. And when you're base coating with a brush, long, smooth, steady strokes. Try not to do that kind of thing. Just keep it long and smooth, and that'll create a nice even finish for you. And of course we're going to shade and highlight this inner coat too when it comes time. And I'm not going to right now worry about applying the white on the lapel up here because we got the face and stuff to do, so I don't want to risk having to clean this white up too much. So we're just going to base coat right now. I want to try something real quick. I want to see how this green is going to look next to the leather color here. So I'm going to mix up some of the green real quick. And I believe when we had spoken last time, what the mix was that we were looking at was P3 warm green and P3 Meridius blue. Okay. Get a little bit of that on my palette here. And basically, I'm doing about a about a 1-to-1 to start with. And the reason why I'm doing it right now, just real fast, is I just want to see how it looks next to each other. You know, because we did it on the palette together, but how it looks on the palette and then how it looks on the model, that usually ends up being two very different things. Yeah, it was that nice sea green color there that he ended up getting. Beautiful color. And I'm just going to paint this forearm guard right here. And we'll see how that looks together. Also, as we've talked too, Chris, you talked about how you want this army to look very clean. So my suggestion would be on these armor plates, to convey that sense of cleanliness, is we probably want to minimize the contrast. So not a lot of shading, not a lot of highlighting, just a nice simple base coat with a nice simple highlight and a nice simple shade. That's probably as far as we want to go. That's going to look pretty good together, I think. That'll look really nice. We've kind of got all three colors going right now. You've got the brown, you've got the blue-green, and then you've got the cream. So I think that's going to look really good together. Get another base coat of white on this real fast. I'm probably not going to worry about the bandana right now either, because I want to, when I work on that face, I don't want to mess things up too much. Okay, so we've got the shading now applied. Okay, I think it's dry enough for us to move on. So what I need to do now, and let me kind of zoom in here so you can see what I'm talking about, Chris. I can get myself centered here. Come up here. Okay, so right in here, right there, you can see that nice little edge that I didn't blend quite enough. Also a little bit inside on that shadow too. Oh, I need to clean that one up even more. That looks pretty bad there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to clean that one up real quick. Okay, show you how to do that. Take the base color, Bloodstone, P3 Bloodstone. And we're just going to use wet blending as well and just kind of recapture that highlight a little bit. All right, we're going to plop that down right there in the middle about. All right, and that cleans that right up. And that shadow that's in there, I'm going to clean that up real quick too. Grub killing gear, I don't think they banned them. I think they banned, not the sale of them at least, I think they banned the import of them from certain countries. And that's made it a little more difficult to get a hold of them. I don't think it's the brushes themselves that they've banned. I just think it's the sable fur that they put a restriction on. But that's kind of old news. I haven't heard an update on that for quite some time, so I don't know where that's at. I know at secretweaponminiatures.com you can still get these Scharf Kolinsky brushes. That's the ones that the yellow handled one that I'm using. They're not too bad. I think I paid somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, $13 to $18. I can't remember exactly. It's been a great brush though. I bought two when I bought them, and I've really enjoyed the quality of it. And then I think I want to, right here on the tip end of the his coat, recapture that highlight a little bit more, because it's fairly prominent piece there, or part of the coat. Okay. So highlight wise, what would I want to do now? And those are still wet. I don't want to do that quite yet. Shading wise in here, let's see here. I think actually we're at the point where we could probably base coat this armor a little more. So let's work on that. Chris, is this blue green the same color you remember from our last broadcast? Kind of having a sense of deja vu with this model. I just finished a Epic Kane commission. I think I just mailed it to the guy within the last month, I think, and I think he had the same brown color on the jacket as well. All right. It's good color. Blood Tracker brown, good color. Bloodstone, good color. P3 did good with those. My circle army, my personal circle army, is got a lot of those colors in it, and I really like that. In fact, speaking of circle, I'm kind of feel like I'm in a conundrum right now with War Machine. I love playing the game. I love painting. But gosh, have I been getting frustrated with playing lately. I don't know what it is, but I was at a tournament here a couple weeks ago, the IMC down in Logan. Great event. I think they had like 52 people show up. It was a lot of good people there. Played a guy from Colorado who drove all the way to come to the event. Played a guy but a couple guys from the Logan, Utah, Salt Lake area there, and really just a good bunch of guys. But I tell you, there was a couple times in that tournament where I was ready to flip the table, man. I was getting so frustrated, and I just don't know what is causing it. I think it's my expectation of the game. Most of my time is spent painting. I don't go over the rules like Jay and Trevor and some of those other guys locally that I play with, and so or the strategy necessarily. So when I sit down at the table, I'm in some ways pretty ignorant to what's going on, and I think it just kind of got to me at that tournament, and I've been carrying it around the last few days and having a hard time letting go of it. I played Menoth too, which I played Menoth before. I was playing him all last year, but this year I gave Menoth a break to play Circle because I've never played a Hordes faction, and so I wanted to learn how to do that. And I don't know, I really didn't get a lot of time practicing with Circle, and the IMC kept getting closer and closer, and finally I decided, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing enough yet with Circle to show up, so I dusted off my Menoth and brought them, but based on how I did with Menoth, I probably should have just brought Circle. I don't think I would have done too terribly worse, So anyway, back to the point of what I was saying is I've just been trying to think of what list I want to try playing next with Circle. I'm kind of up in the air between Morvana 1 with the Sacral Vault, or maybe trying an eCaine list. I've been playing a lot of Chromac. Kruger could be fun too, from what I've heard. So I don't know. I've just kind of been stewing on that today, and just a little bummed out, I suppose, about it in some ways. So. 56. Sorry about the trolls. Is that Trevor or Dan? That's got to be Trevor or Dan, one of the two. So it was a 6-round event, guys, and I played trolls, I think 4 of the 6 rounds. And of the of the 4 times I played against trolls, 3 of them were Epic Borka. So that could be some of the frustration that I was experiencing as well. And the fact that neither one of my lists, the High Reclaimer list that I had and the P. Krios list that I had, was particularly well equipped to deal with all of that. So that could be part of it too. Chris, what I'm doing here is we're going to move on to a shade color for this this beautiful teal color you got going here. And to do the first shade, I'm going to just do straight Meridius blue. Okay, and we'll 2-brush blend that in, just like we have with all the other colors. So get your blending brush ready. Get yourself a dab of the blue, and we'll start right here on the thigh plate. And we'll see how this looks. Dan, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming tonight. All right, so that definitely blued things up a little bit there. I don't know if that pushes it too far blue for you. So what I'm going to do here on the shin plate is we're going to try using a green, I think. Let's go with this here. Let's think out of the box a little bit. Let's try a little bit of Troll Blood base as the shade color and see what you think of that. Yeah, P. Morvana with the Vault. Yeah, it's a recycling machine, isn't it? Just looking at the Troll Blood base on the palette here, I'm going to add a touch of Exile Blue to it, Chris, just to darken it just a little bit more. Haven't played much Moshar yet. His model's probably one of the coolest in Circle, I think. I love he's the guy with the big scythe, right? Yeah, if that's the guy I'm thinking of, I really do like his style as far as how he looks. He definitely looks like a cool caster. Does the salt pillars too, I think, right? Anyway, let's see how this darker blue looks, and see if it gives us a little more contrast without going too far away from what you originally wanted to do. Also had an interesting question too, guys, tonight before I went on the broadcast, asking how family friendly this show is. Bring your kids along, man. Let them come and learn how to paint. It'll be a good time for them. Chris, I kind of like this blue. I kind of like where that's going for the shadow there. It's a nice clean, smooth contrast, right? You can see it really well on the shin plate right there. I think I think that's probably as far as you want to go shadow wise to still maintain that clean look. So if you're good with that, I'm good with that. I'm going to reclaim the shadow a little bit, I mean the highlight here a little bit, the base color a little bit on the shin, on the thigh plate there, and keep working around the shadows in the other areas here. Add a little more color here. I'd like to see this one come out just a little further. Yeah, I think the gold's going to look really good with this, man. I really do. I also want to try, just real quick for giggles here, if it doesn't work out, we'll clean it up. I'm just going to try straight Exile Blue and just create the smallest of shadows just underneath here on this shin plate. And just try and darken that up just a little bit more and see what kind of result we get. Hey, look at that. I think I'm digging that better right there, man. That looks pretty good right there. Yeah, let's work with that here. On the inside of this shin guard, you're going to want that shadow to go down a little bit further, just because you're in the shade there. Probably a little too much Exile Blue right there, I think, so I'm going to just pull a little bit off. All right. That looks pretty smart right there, man. I like that. I think this is really going to look good on your jacks too, man. This is going to be one pretty army when you get it done. Make sure and send me lots of pictures. All right, while we're on the thigh and the shin plate here, let's talk a little bit about glazing. Let's talk a little bit about highlighting. To highlight this color, all right, what we're going to use is Frostbite, P3 Frostbite. Get this shaken up. Yeah, probably look pretty good on the galleon too, Chris. I agree with that. So, all right. So what we want to do here for the glazing, okay? Let's start with about a 50-50 mix of the base teal color, okay, which was about a 1-to-1 mixture of your worm green and Meridius blue. So I'm going to take a little bit of Frostbite, take a little bit of your green, and just mix that together. It's hard to tell with the glare coming off of that. And if you look at my brush, you can see how much lighter that is. And what we're going to do now, pick yourself up a little bit. Okay. And if you notice on my hand, you can see how much coverage you're getting there. So when you're doing a glaze, you want it to be a little thinner than that. Okay. See how opaque that is now, and how much it's kind of going into the little creases of my skin and stuff. That's kind of what you're looking for a glaze. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull the brush down to where you want that highlight to be, and it's just going to leave a little deposit of that lighter color there. You're going to slowly build up that highlight. Oh, out of picture, sorry guys. It's one of the things that is challenging about painting like this is sometimes I get so focused on what I'm doing, it's hard to remember where I'm at on the camera. So you're just going to slowly build that up. Alternatively, what you can do is you can try to wet blend that and work it the same way. To brush blend that, and with that, you simply would just put a dab of it there, like so, and very quickly and smoothly pull that up, push it in, and pull it back out slowly. And you can work your highlights that way. But really, with as bright as that color is, I don't know how much highlighting you're going to need to do, because you don't want to detract too much from kind of what you got going on there. So we can touch the there you go. Okay. So he's looking pretty good. I kind of like what I'm seeing there. All right, so let's do some darken these shadows up just a little bit more with the same shadow mixture we've kind of been using all along, and that's just a 1-to-1 mixture of coal black, umber. Okay, and we're not going to get crazy with that. We just want to deepen things up just a little bit more, and kind of define some of the shadows, particularly on the sleeves of the coat. Okay. Umber, coal black is a fantastic shading color for just about anything. I'm going to say that. I don't know how many out there would agree or disagree, but I am very happy with that color combination. And you're probably not going to see it as well on the camera. Probably be something that you'll see in person to appreciate, but that does just add a little more depth to that shadow, and just gives it a little bit of color, a little bit of contrast. way too much water that time. It's okay, we can clean it up. Can repair him. You know, one thing I hope that these videos do for, not only for you, Chris, but for, you know, everyone watching, is kind of demystify the process of painting. I think sometimes new painters, you know, think that experienced painters are perfect in their way that they apply things, that they don't make mistakes. And, I think it's easy to get kind of caught up in that sometimes, and we make just as many mistakes. We screw things up. We have to repaint things. Nothing. There's nothing fancy about this. There's nothing special. There's no super secret trick. You know, it's just painting, practice, knowing what to use when, and making things happen. So the coal black color here that I had mixed up, the coal black and the umbral umber. What you want to do, get a little bit of it on your brush there. Get your brush down to a nice fine tip, and just come in here to these shadows, the creases in the arms, and just add some of that dark color into some of those creases. You're not adding it into all of them. You're just kind of defining them a little bit more so that they're a little bit more noticeable. Black magic, nice. All right, so let's do some highlights now on the coat, just to bring things out just a little bit more, and just give a little bit more contrast on that coat. What we'll use for the highlight is P3 Rucksack Tan, P3 Bloodstone. I'm going to recommend we start with a fairly soft highlight, and probably do a 2 to 3 to 1 mixture of Bloodstone to Rucksack Tan, because Rucksack Tan is going to lighten it up quite a bit. So that means 2 drops of the Bloodstone and 1 drop of the Rucksack Tan is what we're looking at there. And that's what we'll start with. And once I get some of these highlights on here, Chris, that's probably where I'm going to wrap up for the night on this guy. I do want to talk a little bit about the Cephalex army that I'm painting and work on that just for a few minutes tonight before I stop and take time to answer questions. So, Chris, if you have some specific questions at this point, feel free to drop them into chat, and I'll answer what I can for you. Okay, so let me show you the palette here. Here's your original Bloodstone color, okay, and here's the highlight color I've mixed. So it's a fairly soft highlight. It's not really progressing too much, but we're not going to go crazy on the highlights right now either. We're just going to keep things fairly simple. So take that, your 2-brush blending, put that highlight right there in the middle, come in with your brush, and just clean up either side of it by softening it. And doing it this way, highlighting this way, Chris, is almost like blending in a way. Excuse me, layering. And what you can do is slowly build up that highlight color. So you can already see some of that highlight color taking effect. I'm going to probably add another highlight on top of that of the same color just to saturate it a little more. But you can keep doing that where you keep adding the rucksack tan, wet blending a highlight, add a little more rucksack tan, wet blend the highlight, and you'll slowly build your highlight up so that it's applied evenly. Like I was saying earlier with two brush blending, if you get a little too greedy, it doesn't look good. So sometimes with certain colors, you need to build that color slowly, like I did with the shadow. The umber shadow. I'm going to do the same thing here with the rucksack tan highlight. We're just going to build it slowly, a little bit of a layer at a time, so that it doesn't get too much too fast. Where this color is really going to help, though, is on the top right here, on these creases in the sleeve, on the sleeves. And just using the side of your brush, just pick out some of those creases. To add a little color to them. And you can do the same thing here, Chris. You can slowly build that up a little bit at a time so that it starts popping more and more and more. And keep adding a little more rucksack tan each time. It's looking pretty good. So next time I broadcast on Kane, I'm going to have all your metals painted, okay, and have the rest of the leather painted, and have the jacket finished up, so that we can focus on shading and highlighting the white inside the coat, the white that's going to be on the bandana, and the skin with the face, adding the 5 o'clock shadow, and doing the metals. So he's looking pretty good. I really like how this teal blue is coming along, man. It looks really good. Looks really good. Not bad for about an hour's worth of work. That should show you how much you can get done, how quickly you can get things done working with two brush blending. Is it perfect? No. But is it going to look good on the table? Yeah, it's going to look good on the table. People are going to wonder what your secret is, and how'd you do that? And you can tell them the same thing I've been telling you. Just two brush blending is a quick and easy way to get it done and produce some good results. Just keep your brush moving, keep painting. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and finish up with Kane for now, and when I get on next, we'll make some more progress on him and have him be done. So I'm going to set him aside for now. These paints that I was using tonight, set those aside so I can write down all my recipes. And we're going to come now to the drudge, the Cephalex drudge monstrosity. It's not a drudge, sorry, I made the same mistake last time too when I said that. So where am I at painting him wise? He's coming along pretty good. He's almost done. I've got pretty much all my silver metal here all done. Okay. I do want to work on the leather a little bit more tonight. The purple, I still haven't decided if I want to push this purple out further or not. I'm trying to go for a very dark and gritty kind of look, and you know, I don't want this highlight to be too extreme. I really want it to stay in some shadow there and have some depth there. So so we'll see. So I think where I'm going to start at is some metallics. I do have to paint a couple of places here in some brass color, gold color. So to start with, I'm going to use Scale 75. It's called Negro Gold, black gold. It's a great color, has some great coverage. That's going to be my kind of my first primary layer for the gold to start with. The Scale 75s are good paint, but they need a lot of mixing. I've got a old dental vibrating table. The tabletop can be removed, and I actually removed it the other day and was kind of poking around, seeing if I could actually convert it into a vibrating table that could hold paints, so that I can actually mix my paints that way. I think I can do it. I just need to find myself a block of wood and a block of time uh, to convert it all up. These Scale 75 metallic paints are amazing. The coverage on them is outstanding. Really, really like them. They dry with a beautiful finish to them. They got an ultra fine pigment in them, and I'm absolutely in love with how they coat. They're amazing. I mean, when was the last time you ever saw a gold paint single coat coverage over black? I mean, really. Let me zoom in on this so you guys can see it. I mean, look at that. It's such great coverage. I love these paints. I'm in complete adoration of them. So the idea with this Cephalex army, as I've mentioned a couple times, um, I'm kind of emphasizing the horror aspect of them. Um, if you'll notice that the base, you know, it's got a big blood splatter on the bottom. It's very dark. It's very gritty. It's very grimy, and that's kind of the feel that I'm going for on the whole army. I really want it to look that way. And that's one of the cool things too about this work that I do about commission painting is getting the opportunity to paint things that I wouldn't normally paint. I don't think I would ever really collect Cephalex, a Cephalex army for myself. Um, but having the opportunity to paint them has certainly been cool and one that I've enjoyed. The Vallejo liquid metals are nice, but the alcohol is problematic sometimes. Um, don't have that problem with these Scale 75s quite as much. Um, but you know, then again, I've only used the Vallejo liquid metals just a few times, mostly just experimenting with them and trying them out. They produce a great result, though. I mean, I'll give you that. And that's the thing about painting. You know, your mileage may vary, right? You find what works for you and you kind of stick with it, you know. One of these days soon here, Eric, I'm actually going to have your basher on here. I gotta get going on that thing, man. I've had you waiting on it for too long. I've been meaning to email you though, seeing if I could get you to print out a copy of that Getarex artwork that you did prior to doing the conversion. Get your signature on it. I'd love to have it hanging up on my office wall. I should send you the email because I'm happy to pay for it, but I think it'd be a cool piece of artwork to have hanging up, man. Still one of my favorite models that I've painted so far. That Getarex was a lot of fun. Oh, is that Eric? Eric, oh, I forget your last name, Eric, but you just emailed, you just sent me the models for your painting tutorial for next month, right? Eric Brackwall, aka Brackwall, he is a commission painter as well and runs Gold Drake Painting Studios. And he did, if you go onto my Facebook page, you can see a Getarex conversion that he did for me that I painted up. But he did all the conversion and sculpting work. It is just simply amazing. I told him I wanted Getarex the bouncer, Getarex standing at the bar door, and man, did he deliver on that. It's just amazing, amazing work and talent with Eric. And you guys should check his stuff out too. He does some pretty cool stuff as well. But yeah, Eric, we're doing some Crix stuff for you if I remember right. Some purple Crix and some OSL that you wanted to practice on. Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be fun when that project gets here as well. All right, so that's it for the gold. I think what I want to do now is some of these pipes are still unpainted, but I didn't want to paint them in a metallic color. So I'm probably going to start with, oh gosh, I think we're going to do Crix Bane base. Kind of stay with the feel of the army. The base was painted, the base coat for the base was Crix Bane highlight. The shadow was Crix Bane base, and the highlight on the base was Thrall flesh. So I kind of want to keep that consistency throughout the model. So I'm going to use Crix Bane base to paint these rubber hoses here to kind of keep that gray in harmony. Let me turn my palette around. So I'm going to be on for about, I'm going to be painting here for about 20 more minutes, guys. The last 10 minutes I'm going to take to answer questions on air. So if you have them, go ahead and start throwing them up in chat. And when I get to those last 10 minutes or so, I'll start scrolling through chat and answering those questions as best I can. So if you got them, put them up. And I'm just going to keep working here. Anyone that's on tonight, were you guys able to attend Adepticon? I heard that they were selling Ruin there, the new Cattle Warjack, and it's sold out in like 20 minutes. Trevor Christensen, from Chain Attack, I told him if he had a chance to snag one for me, and by the time he got to the shop, the store there, they had been sold out for probably over an hour or so, and that was like on the first day within an hour of opening that he was there. So too bad that couldn't snag one, but I tell you, I'm excited to paint that model when I get the chance. Someone contacted me the other day about painting him on commission, but the timeline was just a little too soon for me. I wasn't able to. I don't think I'd be able to get it to him in the time that he was wanting it for, and so I had to pass on it. But man, that was a tough one to say no to, because that's one model that I've been looking forward to for quite some time, that I really want to paint. But I did pick up the Cador Army in a box, and so at least I've got the start of a Cador Army that I'll be painting at some point. So keep tuning in. You'll see Cador being painted at some point. So maybe on one of my Sunday night broadcasts when I'm just kind of got my stuff up that I'm working on and not doing any commission stuff. That's probably when you'll see it. Although, and I don't want to start any rumors by this, Trevor Christensen was saying that he may have me paint it when he gets one, because he feels like that model does for Cador what Cador desperately needs, and it's kind of piqued his interest about maybe going back to it. So I know he's Legion 2015 all the way, but maybe we'll see 2016 Cador for Trevor. I don't know. All right. I don't think I'm going to add a lot of shading to these hoses, the rubber hoses that I'm painting. I just I don't particularly see the need to. It's kind of one of those details that kind of blends in a little bit, and really when you're painting a whole army, looking for areas to I don't want to say cut corners, because that makes it sound like you're not having very much attention to detail, but areas where you can save time, let's put it that way. Areas where you can save time are very valuable when it comes to painting whole armies. It's very easy to get sucked into the trap of wanting to paint every detail and wanting to shade every detail and wanting to highlight every detail. And I'm just of the opinion that you're going to drive yourself crazy if you try and do that. You gotta let it go. All right. For the leather, what I want to do is just deepen it up a little bit more. It's a little faded out right now, so I'm just going to take a little bit of a P3 brown ink, dilute it down pretty heavily, and just add a glaze or two over it real quick, just to bring some depth back to the leather, and remove some of the chalkiness, I guess is the right word I'm thinking of, if that's even a word. This is also a great technique to use when you're airbrushing, to restore, again, some of the depth to the color. Sometimes with airbrushing you get a little too much of a fade going on, and it creates that very airbrushed kind of look. So using a little bit of ink just to saturate the color just a little bit more is really helpful. You can see how much difference that makes on the back there. Really deepened and richened up that leather nicely. All right, I think Metals wise, we're almost done. I need to shade some of this leather down here. Actually, now that I think about it, let me where did that umbrella go? There it is. Darken this down a little bit more. I agree, fire eaters are broken. Again, at the tournament I was just at, 4 of the 6 rounds were against trolls. 3 of the 4 against trolls were Berka, and all 3 of those Berka lists had 2 units of fire eaters in them. It was very frustrating. Very frustrating indeed. And broken's probably not the right word, to be honest. My feelings right now about trolls are very reactive, not very objective. And I openly admit that. Oh, I agree they'd be blast to paint, especially with that big old fireball coming out of the one guy. Yeah, a lot of fun with that. You got to give it to trolls, man. They've got a ton of character. I know this isn't the most politically correct thing, but at one point I was actually, and I don't mean to offend anybody here, but at one point I was actually contemplating painting up what I call Southwest trolls, or yeah, Southwest trolls, and putting them in ponchos, with the colors across the chest, and sombreros and things like that. But I thought that might be a little too politically incorrect for even War Machine, so I abandoned the idea. But every now and then I think about it, and I still think it would be kind of fun. So again, I'm not trying to offend anybody here with that statement. All right, let me get a little bit of blue going here. So the Cephalex army, when it's done, which I'm hoping to have done by the end of April, it will actually be auctioned off on eBay, and all the proceeds will go to donate or paint for Mark. So if you are interested in playing Cephalex, interested in supporting him, interested in just buying a nicely painted army, keep your eyes out on the Chain Attack Facebook page. They will definitely be posting up progress and progress pictures and information about that auction when it happens. So. All right. Oh, I have no idea what the starting bid is going to be at. Trevor and I haven't even talked about it yet. I don't even know if I'm going to have any input on that as far as what that starting bid will be. That's probably going to be to the Chain Attack guys to determine, since they're the ones really running this. I'm just donating my time for this. So I have no idea what they'll be starting that at. Put my camera there. Sorry about that, guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start working P3 armor wash into the metals. I've already done a bit of that. I'm just going to keep doing it in there. I actually really like the P3 armor wash. Does a great job of adding depth to metal without taking away the metallic feeling of the metal. It's a great product. And when you get enough layers of it on, you actually start getting a nice opaque type effect, and really creates a really nice realistic metal type effect. If for any of you that have seen the trolls that I've painted for Trevor, a lot of those metals on those trolls are done the same way that I'm doing the metals here on the Cephalex army. So after a couple washes of this, I'll then take something like probably P3 Bloodstone, P3 Blood Tracker Brown, something that would be a nice rust color, and I'll do a few glazes with that. I'll do a few glazes with a green, I'll do a few glazes with a blue, just a little bit at a time, and it just starts adding some nice depth to the metal, so that when you see it in person, it's got a really cool, natural, realistic type effect. Also, guys, remember, any suggestions that you have on content you want to see, or how this is presented, the formatting, make sure and email those to me, or make sure to contact me on my Facebook page, Facebook.com/Red Modeling. All my contact information is up there. Generally, I respond to emails, within a day or two. So I personally don't like to be kept waiting on emails, so I try not to do the same with people who contact me via email. But I'd love to hear your input, love to hear your suggestions. And again, a big thanks to all those who have offered their support and purchased the tutorial times, and just generally being supportive of the idea. Really appreciate it, guys. Still kind of up in the air about whether or not I want to set up a Patreon account. Haven't decided yet. I think I'd probably wait until I get a little bit more of a higher viewer number of viewers at a time. 75, 76 likes on my page, but I don't think I've broke a dozen viewers at once. I think on the first night I had probably 20, 25 on, but since then I haven't had that number on. So make sure you tell your friends about this, especially those that want to learn how to paint, especially those that want to learn how to do specific techniques and stuff, because there's really nothing else quite like this out there right now. I'm sure that'll change, but this is a great opportunity for people to learn how to paint and figure out what it is they need to do to be a better painter. And for those of you that have been watching, You can see I'm just kind of rehitting areas over and over again as they dry and deepening up that that wash effect from the P3 armor wash, and you can see how much it's darkened that metallic and how black and how dark those metals look. That's the exact look that I'm going for, that I'm trying to achieve on this. Yes, I do post these up to YouTube when I'm done. Maybe that's why I haven't had the viewership that I had the first night, is because people just watch it on YouTube. Also, I suppose with the time of the day that I also broadcast, that has influence as well. So, but I'm working on setting up some different times. I don't want to always have it be Thursday night, 8 o'clock. So I'm looking at my schedule. I'm looking at what my demands are with family and school and work, and trying to figure out how I can juggle that right now. So. Okay, so I think with the armor wash, that's about as far as I want to go. Let's start working with some umber here, a little bit of ink, brown ink, and then water that down quite a bit. Don't want it to be too strong. There we go. And this glaze is just going to be just one single glaze, kind of randomly applied, and the purpose of it is just to kind of create some randomness in color and texture on the metals. I want the metals to have a dark, grimy type appearance. Where the cleanup on all this will happen is when I'm doing the highlights and stuff. That's where you'll get the chance to clean things up, make things look like how you want them to look, emphasize things a little bit more. Right now, I'm just trying to influence the feel of the metal, if that makes sense. And again, not being overly particular about where and what I'm placing. Try to avoid pulling when you're doing this type of stuff, though, because you don't want a color too concentrated in one specific area when you're doing this kind of thing. Yeah, the camera's not picking it up very well, but in person, this is really starting to look pretty spiffy color-wise. Metallics are looking great. All right, and with that, we're at about the last 10 minutes. So if you got your questions, guys, post them up. Let me scroll back through chat, see if there's any that I've missed that I'll take the time to answer now. All right, quite a bit of chat tonight. Awesome. All right, starting at the top. How is everybody? Yep, I'm doing good too, guys. Thanks for asking. And that's a nice shout out there to Menoth John, beverage update. Update. Very cool. All right. The camera setup on Painting Buddha. I'm curious. A couple people have mentioned that to me. Could someone type in? Because I haven't caught any of their shows yet. I've been looking them up a little bit, but haven't quite caught anything that they produce. I'm curious. Do they have what's on their screen? What is it that about their setup that you guys like? I'd love to hear that feedback. So. The Series 7s, guys, I'm not too particularly keen on those. I've got a couple of them hanging here off my paint rack. what I don't like about them is the size of the brush. I've talked about this before on the broadcast, and I'll just briefly go over it again. Here is a Scharf #1. Okay, that's my work brush. Here is a Winsor & Newton #1, and you can see the difference in the length of bristle there. Okay, the Scharf is going to hold a lot more moisture and allow you to paint for a lot longer than the Series 7. So, um, like I said, I'm not a big fan of them. They're a good brush, but the way I paint, I'm not particularly hot on them. Let's see here. We talked about the sable brushes and being bad. Um, Fitmedic, lag problems. On my end, I'm not getting any dropped frames. I'm at 0% and have been for the whole broadcast, running at 30 frames a second. Um, I know that sometimes because I do stream in 1080, sometimes it can get a little laggy depending on your internet setting. What kind of download speed you have going on, or if there's anything else going on. If anyone's streaming some movies or anything like that. So um, if it's not working out for you here live, catch it on YouTube, man. That's where I'll be posting it. So it should be up in the morning. Let's see here. Some talk about commission work and stuff and what different projects people are working on. Let's see here. All right, here's a question from Grub Killin' Gear. No local store by me carries Winsor & Newton Series 7. Is there a good place I can order them from, or a good substitute brush you recommend? Yeah, the Scharfs. These are a great brush. I already just talked about that. You can pick them up at Secret Weapon Miniatures, and you can also pick them up at Dick Blick Art Supply online stores. So you should be able to find those there. No problem at all. Zammers, as you progress in skill, technique loses its mystery, but the mystery in the artistry only deepens. That is when the real fun begins. Very, very deep, man. Too deep for what we're doing tonight. All right. Can the scale 75 be airbrushed? That is my big problem with the liquid metals. Yes, they can. I have not airbrushed them yet. I only just picked up these paints within the last couple of weeks. It was my birthday present to myself. So I have not tried airbrushing them yet, but I know several people who have, and they have no problems with them. If you're looking for specific metallic colors to airbrush, the Vallejo Air line. Let me grab one of them here off my paint rack. The Vallejo Model Air line airbrush is really nice, and I've used this quite a bit. I did some gray nights a few months ago and used a bunch of their metallic colors for that, and they airbrush really well. But if not by the next broadcast, the one after that, I will have airbrushed some of the Scale 75s by then and can give you a more definitive answer on that. Let's see here. Talked about that. Okay. Yep, talked about the Getarex. We talked about brushes again. Fire heaters being broken. Yes, they are. Yes, and once people figure out what to drop against the fire eaters, they will not be broken anymore. I agree 100%. Let's see here. Starting bid, we talked about that. Yeah, I have no idea what the starting bid's going to be. Check in with the Chain Attack guys. They're the ones who are going to be able to tell you that. Have I ever worked with oil washes? I work with oil washes a ton. If you go on to the Privateer Press forums and you type in the search engine heavy paint chipping tutorial, you'll find a post that I put up about a year ago where I talk a lot about using oil paints when you paint. I will use oil paints on these broadcasts. I love them. They're fantastic. You can do things with them that you can't do with acrylics, and there's really no mystery to them. So The thing is knowing when to use them and how to work in layers, because you kind of have to alternate your layers with them, or you can have some problems. So definitely one of the broadcasts coming up. Can't say yet when yet, but definitely one of them coming up. I'll be talking about oil paints and working with them. So you'll definitely see that. So you had the Series 7 question answered. Camera on the painter and on the painted model. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. I'll have to look into that, see if I can do that at all. The problem I'll run into when I have two cameras streaming at the same time is I lose the ability to zoom in and focus with the single camera. So, for example, here's a nickel here on my table. With a single camera, I can zoom in quite a bit on that thing and focus on it fairly well. I mean, the resolution isn't terrific, but I can get pretty tight on it. When I'm running two cameras at the same time, though, I lose that ability, and so I've been playing around outside of streaming to see if that's something that's going to work for me. So so it's kind of in the works right now. I'm still trying to decide if that's what I want to do. So yes, I will be posting the links on the bottle and the mixing beads that I use. That link will be available tomorrow morning when this video is up on YouTube. So make sure and check my YouTube channel and subscribe to that channel if you haven't already. And when you see those videos up, make sure you hit like. And on that video that will be posted tomorrow, you will the links for those things will be there. So otherwise, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in tonight. Really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate all the questions. Next Thursday should be my next regular scheduled stream. I am hoping to get some work done this weekend, though, on and off, and so I may be popping on and off over the weekend as time permits. But until next time, guys, keep your brushes moving and have fun. We'll see everyone later. Take care.